Hello. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to WOM. Word of Mouth. We have probably the best song I've heard in a long time playing right now. It's called All of a Sudden. Not All of the Sudden, All of a Sudden by Larraji. Laraaji.
I just bought this on 45.
Laryngitis.
Really?
No.
Well, this guy, let's just give it a second. It's just a beat that'll suck you right in. But anyways, this guy in like 1980s or something like that is at a spiritual renewal something or another in New York City, which seems like a crazy place to go for a spiritual renewal. I would go to like the desert or something like
Well,
that.
if you think about it, if you go to the top of a building, you're as far from the ground as you would be in the desert.
That is true. If you were in the same building in the desert as you were in New York, you would be at the same height.
So like, if you were in the Burj Khalifa and you were on the top.
Like
So anyways, this guy's in doing at the spiritual retreat center, and then all he has, it's like a monastery kind of vibe. So there's nothing there. There's nothing to do. But he has this experience with God. And I don't know what God, but I know to him it's his God at this moment in his life. And he has this little tiny, from my understanding, like calculator-sized keyboard that he made that song on. And he came out with it in 1984. And then this record discovery group reprinted it and came out with it in 2016 or something like that.
Gosh, so good.
And I found it on Spotify via a curated playlist by Beach Fossils, which is hilarious.
Wow.
Anyways, there's your intro music for the day. Welcome back, guys. We're so excited that you're back listening to the podcast. Today we have a very familiar host back on for the first time in probably the longest it's been in a while.
Yeah. Last episode I was on was Lauren.
Yeah, 6 or 7 episodes.
Bye, Lauren. No longer in Birmingham.
Bye, Lauren.
Frick.
New York, Lauren. New York, right? Or
Yeah.
Los Angeles?
NYC.
Congrats
With
to
Mr.
her
Jack
boyfriend who is starring on Adults, the new Nick Kroll show on
Wow.
FX, which is actually sick.
Could you imagine being on a show on FX? That has to be a hoot.
Maybe even a holler.
And Nick Kroll wrote your lines, who's like
Actually funny.
one of the funniest guys alive right now.
How does FX afford making a TV show? Does FX
Do they
make
do stuff?
money?
Do they do stuff these
Do you
days?
think that TV stations, besides sports, do you think that TV stations make money at all anymore?
There is so many commercials.
There's
Really?
a lot of commercials.
Fluoride toothpaste. PS5.
Sky Rizzy.
What is that?
It's like a drug.
Oh wait, I know about
Sky
this.
Rizzy. Do you have plaque psoriasis?
There's a song. It's like, control means everything to me. Sky Rizzy. Something like that.
Control means everything.
Why do
to
you
me?
know what ads are on TV? What are you watching TV for?
My father-in-law. I've spent the
You just be
weekend
watching
in
like
Fairhope last
TLC
weekend.
or something like
He's
that?
watching whatever is on the
HGTV.
TV.
The Learning Channel.
I actually really look forward to the random times in my life that HGTV is on in the same room as me.
Yeah.
When do you think TLC, which stands for the Learning Channel, switched from like learning to like here's this really fat guy?
And that's literally
That's
it.
the whole show.
That's actually kind of nuts that they got away with that.
Here's
and
a guy
they're
that
still
only
low-key
eats
getting away with
mattresses.
it.
Yeah, they do.
So, anyways, guys, we went to Europe and okay, there it is.
Dang it. Sorry.
Jacob said
Jacob
he wasn't
committed
gonna
to
do that.
not doing that, and he already did.
Sorry.
We went to Europe on a 2-week-long trip. We got back literally 15 days ago, and I just want to go ahead and say, what's up, Vincent? I'm glad you're listening to our podcast.
Vincent.
We met an Australian guy named Vincent.
Vinny.
That's
Vinny.
got to be one of the most legendary blokes we've ever met. He's the
he's
first
awesome.
ever Australian I think I've ever met.
Really?
Have y'all met another Australian?
I've met like one or two other Australians.
I've probably I've probably seen a guy in Disney World with an Australian accent and been like, whoa, an Australian. But I don't know if
Yeah.
I've ever been like, what's up?
There was a woman at the church John worked at in Georgia who was on the worship team who was Australian.
That's
When
wow.
she sang, you could tell.
Ty
Yeah.
Smith,
Taya.
the Hillsong girl. Ty
Oh,
Smith.
I don't keep up with famous
know,
worship.
Like-
yeah, she's the one who sings Oceans.
Oh, I know her.
No hate to South Africans. Whenever I meet South Africans, I'm always like, "Are you an Australian?" And then it's like, no, bummer.
Do you think Kayla was Australian?
Kayla probably less so than
I thought she was like
Michaela.
British.
Whenever I met
Oh
her.
yeah.
Michaela is like kind of got she's got a more like surfer vibe. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was so much fun meeting Vincent. We had a great time in Europe, and we at Word of Mouth, we talk a lot about Birmingham because we love Birmingham. So we as Birminghamians went to Budapest, and we just want to chat today specifically. We want to process Budapest through that Birmingham lens. You know what I mean? So that's going to kind of be the premise of today's episode. So, say you're listening and you're not a Birmingham person. Maybe in your own mind, you should call us whenever you're listening, and any of us would love to actually chat with you. My phone number is 205-675-5361. What is y'all's phone number?
205-612-1495.
601-613-0737.
Yes, that was completely true. I'm not even joking. So please give us a call and chat. So say you're from like Wilmington, JP, or say you're from DC, Kristen, or say you're from Cincinnati, Elijah, or say you're from Denver, Caleb, or Gold Coast, Vinny, or from Budapest. We would love to hear your thoughts, but also the majority of our listeners are going to be Beham people, so y'all probably have a lot of fun. Or maybe you'll be a Birmingham person from freaking Nashville or something like that.
Franklin.
We would love to know what y'all think, but I think American cities are, I hate to say it, pretty similar in a lot of the comparisons that we're going to make, so I think you're going to be able to relate in a lot of ways. But to kick us off here, let's go ahead. Let's bite the bullet. We're all coffee guys.
Coffee.
Budapest coffee.
Coffee. I think to start off all these segments are talking about what's different from Birmingham.
Yeah.
I think a helpful framework for us to all three think about is what's Budapest and what's not Birmingham.
Oh,
because just because it's Budapest doesn't mean it's like a Budapest thing. It might just be something we don't have here.
Sure.
And everywhere else does. You know what I mean?
I kept clarifying because some of the people on the trip had never even been to a big city.
Yeah.
Budapest is a big city. It's like metro area of 3 or 4 million, I think.
Yeah.
And it helped that me and you, Steven, had been to New York in December because then I could kind of compare, this is definitely just like big city, having good public transportation or whatever.
Yes.
Versus like what is actually
like
Europe.
Budapest. Like what's it? So, just to think about. But coffee, I thought I would never say it's like a bad coffee scene by any means. I think it was very good. I don't think it's like world class, but I think it was fantastic.
I think it's world class because Espresso Embassy literally wins. They won Brewers Cup in 2015 or something like that. And Brewers Cup means that you're like, it's like a way to, there's a competition across the whole world every year of who can make the best pour over. And they came in, I think it was first place of Europe. It was either first or second place in Europe in 2012 for the best pour over in all of Europe, which is kind of insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, once you get to the finals, like, America has a winner, Asia has a winner, Europe has a winner, and then South America has a winner, Africa has a winner, Australia has a winner. But it's like, it's probably the hardest to win in Asia because South Korea and Japan are like freaks about coffee.
Yeah.
But it's
shout out Sadai.
Sure.
Sadai. That's where Valor had. Yeah. That was so dope.
There's a lot of people who are like really nerdy and like specific, like scientific about coffee over there. But Europe's definitely probably the second hardest place to win those things. Yeah. I bet South America is pretty hard too because like coffee farmers are there. But anyways, Europe's definitely like one of the hardest places to win that in the world. But when we went to Espresso Embassy, it was genuinely like you could get probably 10 different cups of coffee that would absolutely blow your mind.
Blow your socks off.
But I feel like here, a lot of shops, I feel like Birmingham packs a huge punch for coffee for the size of the city that it is.
Yeah.
But there's probably like one or two coffee, like 1 or 2 cups of coffee here that would like be like, wow, this is a really good cup of coffee. But over there, it was like insane how every single shop that you went to had at least 1 or 2, and then Espresso Embassy had like 10. That would like literally blow your mind.
One of the interesting comparisons was all the shops serve their espresso drinks with single shots. So when you get a cappuccino or a latte or something, it was like a single shot. So then we ended up drinking coffee more often during the day, during the weeks, but not necessarily drinking more coffee. Like I think most days I probably only had 3 shots of espresso.
More milk.
Here I would usually have like 4 because I'd have 2 drinks.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think that they taste better.
Yeah.
The one-shot ones?
One shot.
I do too.
And cappuccinos were smaller there.
I'll say anything smaller than a latte. I think the one shot in a latte is a little odd. It feels like milk with a splash. Yeah. But like I think that like a one shot cortado is a wonderful experience.
Oh yeah.
Like I really the one shot cortado I had from Dorado was so good.
I mostly got flat whites everywhere. Which is like slightly shorter than a it's slightly less milk than a cappuccino. Basically, we could have that debate, but I don't think it's worth it.
I also thought just in general the like really good coffee shops are really small.
Yeah,
there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've ever
like
seen.
4 minutes.
I've never seen that done in Birmingham.
Yeah.
I don't really know if I've ever. I guess Tuesday in Atlanta.
Tuesday's pretty tiny.
But
I mean, Daily Edition.
Yeah.
Not
it is funny.
I mean, it like when it didn't go out of business. It sold.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign either.
I think it's a good.
I would love to know like what the whole city. If you were to what's it called? Like survey the whole city and say like, do you know what Daily Edition is? Like, I wonder if it's like above or below 3% of Birmingham knows what it is.
It's got to be like pretty low.
Yeah.
Because it's anyone I tell at Stanford, they're like, more people have heard of Prevail.
Which is kind of
crazy. People would ask me for the longest time what my favorite coffee shop was, and I usually said Daily Edition, and I always had to explain like what it was and where it was.
Yeah. It's also kind of wild because it's literally in home. It's like right beside Seeds.
Yeah. It is weird. It's right beside Seeds.
It's also like the other day, it was you, Myres. It was you and Connor. Y'all were like, y'all went to Seeds, and then the only reason y'all went to Daily Edition was because the line at Seeds was too long.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of wild.
I wonder how many people get Daily Edition and sit outside at Seeds.
I used to do that.
Sure.
I've done that.
Yeah.
That's so I love Seeds.
But that is like,
spread the love.
Many, honestly, not all of, but many of the coffee shops we went to were probably that size.
Yeah.
I would say. Like
Dorado was like easy June sized. Like almost exactly the same, I feel like.
Yeah. Espresso Embassy was probably bigger, I think.
It had that back spot.
Yeah,
it was like as big as Seeds.
Yeah.
Okay, so should we do a top 3? Because I feel like it's super easy.
Yeah.
Coffee shops there?
Dorado, 4 minutes, Espresso Embassy.
Yeah.
In no particular order.
I'm trying to think of any other one that we went to that would have been.
I went to Lumen a lot, but that's not really a cafe. It was like a restaurant.
Yeah.
I got an espresso tonic at Lumen. That's pretty tasty.
Oh, I got that.
Dude, okay. Speaking of Birmingham coffee, I'm going to take a little bit of a tangent here. I'm going to go down a little bit of a rabbit trail. So the other day, I was like pretty bored. I don't remember exactly what was happening. Oh, I'd taken Gracie's car to get serviced. And I was like, I could have gone like I had another errand to run, and instead I was like, no, I'm just gonna go home. So then I kind of got on the interstate to go on that errand, and then I was like, no, that's gonna be annoying. I'm just gonna go home. So then I got off on a different part of the interstate and passed the old Woodlawn Cycle Cafe, and I went. They saw that they were open. I don't know if y'all know this, but in the old Woodlawn Cycle Cafe, there's a place called Woodlawn Marketplace.
Yeah,
and they have a coffee shop in there. And I went in there, and just for like, nostalgia's sake, and I was fully expecting to have a absolutely terrible experience, if I'm being honest. And everything was like exceeded expectations.
Really?
The lady was so kind. She, they have a full menu. You can get like lunch there and stuff.
Huh.
What?
You can get like.
Is that picture you posted? Or maybe you put it on Strava?
I put it on Strava, yeah.
Dude.
And
that's actually crazy. I thought that was the other Woodlawn shop. Yeah.
No, it looks like pretty similar to how it used to look. There's definitely like some interesting like Woodlawn coated Cracker Barrel vibes going on in there. But I got a blueberry espresso tonic, and it was so good.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, oh, no way, y'all have espresso tonic? I want that. And she was like, you want anything in it? And I was like, lavender. And she was like, I just ran out of lavender, but blueberry's great in it. And I was like, sick.
Wow.
It sounded terrible to me at first.
Yeah.
It ended up being very tasty.
That's amazing.
But it was kind of wild. So I literally was, as I was there, I was like, I'm going to vet this on WOM this week.
That's
people got to go check out.
Never heard of
Woodlawn
that.
Marketplace.
I'm definitely going to go.
Were there like seasonal menus and things at any of the cafes we went to? I didn't pay attention to that.
No seasonal menus, no flavors.
Yeah. Okay.
That's kind of crazy. Yeah, that's true. I don't remember seeing like vanilla or anything.
No flavors, and we would like ask for.
I didn't think about that at all.
We asked for at Lumen. Someone asked for like a iced honey latte, and they were like, "No." They were like, "We can do an iced latte, and I can bring you a cup of honey, I guess." And I was like, "Yeah, do that," because I thought we were gonna be able to mix it in, and they did it. And I was trying to mix it in, and it was not so bad. It's just like I could explain to you, like once you pull the shot, put honey in the shot and mix it, but like they have a process. Like I'm not gonna like try to America their Budapest right now.
Right.
That is something that I just think is so fascinating about Budapest.
So what? Yeah. So the menu was different at all the cafes.
Different menu.
Size was way different.
Size was different. So you had flat whites everywhere. You had espresso tonics everywhere.
A lot of people had cascada, the like tea.
Yes.
The tea coffee.
Yeah. The espresso tonics were amazing. They used I forgot that brand.
I know what you're talking about.
The little like tiny tonic water bottles.
Yeah.
And they have different flavors. But what was interesting to me was they would use the flavored ones, but then they wouldn't put it on the menu. So you would just be sipping on it, and you'd be like, "Oh, there's like
this is kind of lemony.
There's like grapefruit.
Yeah,
interesting." And it was actually like a little bit sweet. Mm-hmm. So I really enjoyed my tonics because when we had
LaCroix espresso tonics are good.
Yeah, what kind of I don't know if this bothers me, but something that's different in the U.S. is usually espresso tonics are made with like Topo Chico or sparkling water, which is technically not
tonic.
An espresso tonic because it's not tonic water. They're not bad, but they're different. And I think the espresso tonics, they taste different when you use tonic water because tonic water has its own like bitterness to it and stuff.
I don't know what's in tonic water, but it's definitely different than just Topo Chico.
I think what were y'all's favorite drinks that you had? Like one specific drink.
My Dorado Cortado.
Dorado Cortado.
My Dorado Cortado, Sophie Cabrera. My Dorado Cortado.
Sophie Cabrera. Shout out Sophie. She's definitely
Shout out Sophie Cabrera. You have to listen to this.
Sophie.
They're going to send a screenshot of us in the group chat and be like, no invite alert.
That's going to be Sophie, yeah, for sure. Sophie's going to be like, thanks for the invite. We're going to be like, Sophie, you're literally in Zambia.
Yeah, I think my Cortado from Dado, my 4 minutes espresso orange.
Oh, yeah. That was pretty tasty.
Which is an espresso tonic, but instead of tonic water, it's orange juice.
It's literally orange juice with a shot of espresso.
And my first sip,
unreal.
My first sip, I was like, this is liquid ass. And then I stirred it a little bit, and I was like, this is incredible. Yeah. And I got it like 2 more times, and I got a tattoo of something I saw on their Instagram. Also, I'm going to have to get touched up. Like, I healed, and the middle of his head is just my skin.
Yeah.
Absolutely legendary.
Yeah. And we got to meet the owner. She was so kind.
Yeah, tell that story. Just briefly.
Basically, 4 minutes is this cafe that was, like, up towards a really touristy part of the city, but we, like, moved away from the tourism part, and there was, like, no one at this cafe. And it was, like, beautiful and natural wood, and, like, there was, like... Cranes was like a big theme in their like branding and stuff, and I saw this drawing on their Instagram that I thought was really pretty. And the next day we went and I asked the barista, I was like, what is the significance of the crane? And there's this story with the cafe and cranes, and the owner really liked it. So the owner's daughter had drawn this, and I was like, I think I'm gonna get this tattooed on my body tomorrow. And she was like, really? And I was like, yes. She was like, you have to come back and show us. And I was like, okay. So Steven got some tattoos too, but we went and got some. I went and got it, and I just thought it was really pretty. It was like a really beautiful cafe. It's like we're in Europe with like our best friends. It was just like a good experience, and
yeah,
I could not make up, but there's like some like biblical cool backing to like the tattoo. But to be so honest with you, it's like I've always wanted an animal, and I thought it was really cool, and it's a fun story.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to try to over depth it.
And then you went back.
I went back, and the owner was working. There was this older woman working, and we were like, this has got to be the owner. And Steven asked her, and she's like, yeah, I own the shop. And we were like, oh my gosh, your cafe is beautiful, whatever. And She was like, thank you. And I showed her the tattoo, and she was like, oh, and was like, that's so beautiful, and took a picture to show to her daughter who had drawn it, which is sick. I wish I would have seen the daughter see the picture, but
yeah. I have a picture of you showing her, and she's like, oh.
Yeah, she was like, took a picture, and then she was like, we're making tote bags with that drawing on it soon. Like, send me your address and tell me you're the one that got the tattoo, and I'll send you one once we make it.
Facts.
That's pretty sick.
That's actually so cool.
It's just like, that's such a...
And you got your coffee for free.
I got my cortado for free. And their little snacks, their little like pastries and snacks and stuff were so good.
That's another thing that I think is another like huge difference. That was the only place where I felt anything remotely close to Southern hospitality.
Yeah.
And by Southern hospitality, I don't mean like they were like
fake.
I mean that like she genuinely was like,
thank you so much.
Like she was like very like her soul kind of like opened up to us. Yeah. Everyone else like their hospitality was great, but it was kind of like lifeless, if that makes any sense.
It was like there was like a list of rules they had to follow.
Yeah.
She was like, please sit down, like I will bring it to you. And like, do not bring your dishes back. Like I will get your dish. She was just in every way that you could be. She was like so kind.
To me 4 minutes was like the 10 out of 10 experience that we had. And I think that was a big reason why was they were courteous and kind and hospitable.
Yeah.
Like they encouraged us, I think it was the first or second time we went, to get our drinks to drink there.
Yeah.
Because that's part of the whole ethos of the cafe. The 4 minutes is called 4 minutes because it's meant to be like a 4 minute break from the craziness of your day.
Yeah.
To drink a coffee. Yeah. And the space is literally, I don't know.
It's like literally as big as this room.
It's literally as big as this room.
So small. It's like so 2 tiny. Of this room.
There are like 4 total chairs or places to sit. And then there are seats outside. But they still insist on like bringing it out to you.
Oh, dude, it was so cool because there's these huge doors that like once they close, the cafe's closed. But when the doors open, there's like tables on the doors. So when they're all the way open, it's like more seating. I thought that was the coolest. I thought that was so sick.
It was really cool, and all their coffee was amazing. They had like a $20,000 or $30,000 espresso machine set up.
Yeah,
like it was crazy.
Yeah. My only miss with Espresso Embassy, I was thinking about this. Their pastries were like kind of bad.
I didn't even try their pastries.
But also it's like a coffee shop, not a pastry shop.
My one miss with them was that you can order from an iPad.
We went to the worst coffee shop I've ever been to. And I don't want to actually it doesn't matter. What was it called?
Foam?
Where?
Where your Americano had a hair in it?
I don't remember which one you're talking about. Flow. That was it.
Flow.
Yeah.
Flow is horrendous.
It was like
my Americano like genuinely was room temperature.
Yeah.
As it got to my table with a hair in it.
No cow's milk.
No cow milk.
Only vegan milks. It was order from the table, so there was no like point of sale.
You order like from their website, and then they deliver it to your table.
And they were playing the worst music. They were playing like TikTok, like funk. Do you know what funk is? PHONK. That kind of music they were playing, it's called funk. And it's so bad. They started playing it, and then they started playing The Offspring, the like 90s band.
Yeah.
And it was like 5 funk songs and 5 Offspring songs. And me and Myres were like, I was trying to journal in there, and I was like, this is the dumb. Like,
I was
what
trying
is
to
going
read,
on?
and I could not focus.
It was so
I could not
dumb.
focus.
Let me find it.
There was like a lot of like study vibes going on.
What I was gonna
really
say
close to a college.
that I thought about was, here when people are no laptop, we get like kind of pissed. Yeah. I've realized when people are like, don't do your laptop, we're kind of like, okay, screw you. And there, when we saw no laptop, we were like, I freaking love that. Like that's so awesome.
Yeah.
And that is a big difference I saw is like, I don't know if it was more often than not, but the cafes that we liked the most are no laptop.
Yeah.
Espresso you could, but Flow was certain tables. 4 minutes was no laptops.
Yeah.
Dorado.
Espresso Embassy there was one table where the big long table was the only table you could have a
I didn't
laptop.
know that. See, yeah, it was like so much more common there. What do you guys think about that?
I don't know. I feel like there it makes more sense because it's so busy. You can like churn volume and stuff.
Yeah.
I think here, what makes me like a little bit more confused
is the music.
Yeah.
That is true. That is what they were playing. I didn't know that that's like what it was.
It's like a genre that like it's like gym bro edits and like car edits, like use that kind of music.
It kind of has like some GTA vibes.
Yeah.
Or not GTA.
I think some of it has to do with like the way that you communicate that to your customers.
Sure.
The laptop thing?
Yeah. I feel like there is something to the busyness thing, because like in New York it's similar. Like when we went into La Cabra in Soho on a Saturday, like you're not whipping out your laptop there. And like it's kind of obvious because it's so slammed. Like it wouldn't make any sense. I think maybe that's why it. I'm trying to think about why it frustrates me here.
When did the idea of like studying in a coffee shop, like when did that thing happen? And is that an American thing originally? Like studying / laptoping in a cafe. Like what is the origins of that?
I mean, I think they started serving coffee in pubs. That was like the first time it came to like West. I mean, and we're not talking about like the Byzantine Empire. Like we're not talking like obviously coffee I don't know what it was like in Africa or in Turkey before it came over to Europe and America. But in Europe, I think it was just like, I don't know. I mean, I think cafe culture like started in like, it was like rooted in Spain, Italy. It was like the first places that, because the Turks came over to Europe to try and bring Islam to it. So they came to Italy and Spain, I think. I know they came to Spain. I don't know if they came to Italy. And then obviously the Catholic Church or the Roman Catholic Church or whatever you want to call it, they ended up taking over. But I know that that's how coffee got over there at first, was from that. And then it got up north just because it got popular down there. And it was like, it was really weird. It was really like moralized at first because it came from like the anti-Christians. It came from like the people that were trying to like reform Christianity into like a new religion. Like, so, but then people started liking it and they realized it wasn't from Turkey. It was actually from Ethiopia.
Yeah.
And there just is like trade between Ethiopia and Kenya up to Turkey. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is I have absolutely I think it was like pub culture at first.
Yeah.
And then it kind of slowly worked its way into being like a morning time thing.
Yeah.
Because it was just like super energy. But also like in Europe, going to the pub before there was like coffee shops, like the pub was kind of like an all day. It was like pub, I think stands for like public urban space. It's like it was just like a kind of an arm of the library, if you will.
Right.
More than anything, it was just like a space for people to hang out. So I don't know. I think
so
that
interesting. Think about like girls or guys that post up at like Mountain Brook Starbucks, and you have like laptop, iPad, books, highlight. That's like kind of weird now that I'm thinking about it.
Like people that straight up set up WFH, like dual monitor stuff and work hours in a coffee shop. I'm like, why in the world would you not just go to like there's like spaces for this?
Yeah. Very, very interesting.
Yeah. I understand if you don't want to do it at home. I just don't understand why you would do it at the Starbucks.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because
I just did it. I just did what we were talking about earlier. Today. I just said the before I said it.
Cole was talking about earlier how it's like, I'm going to go get a Starbucks. But you don't say like, I'm going to go get a June. It's like not the same thing.
That's funny.
It's funny because June and Dorado are my easiest like parallel, I think.
Yeah.
And like Jimmy doesn't like when people work in there.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wonder why. He'd probably lose a frick ton of business, but like why he hasn't just been like, no laptops.
Dorado, I asked him, I was like, are y'all cool with laptops? And they're like, yeah, for sure. I will say that happened. But he's from Colombia and like spent a lot of time in America, the owner there. So I don't know, man. I think it's interesting.
Fascinating.
I mean, I'm guessing work from home culture really
it's so interesting.
The number of people doing laptops.
We've talked about this too, how
COVID
like we can freaking name drop because Tim literally told us he would never listen to our podcast the other day. But Tim owns Punch Love. Punch Love does no laptops on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
But they do laptops on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
Do.
And when me and Chase and Cole were talking about that the other day, we were talking about or Chase made the point or something like that of when we have like when we're talking about our own life, we have this like ideal of like don't work on the weekend, like plug it up and then don't touch it. But then for whatever reason, whenever Tim did it, it like pissed us all off at first.
Yeah.
But then we were like, I mean, like, actually, like, I think, like, from a capitalistic standpoint, it's like, why would you ever refuse business, you moron?
Right.
But I don't think that's, like, my final, like, judgment. I think that he's actually doing something, like, pretty brilliant.
Yeah.
And, like, what's going to happen is he's going to get the clientele that he wants.
Yeah.
Maybe not the clientele that he needs, like you know, to stay in business or whatever by my capitalistic formulaic brain. But like every single person that's gone in there and gotten upset that they couldn't use their laptop won't come back.
Yeah.
Which is technically good for Tim if that's what he wants to do. So I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think that people that are like working from home finally have a space at Switch Yards that's like a cool work from home space that they can go and get like, I mean, pretty good coffee at and like have that environment. But it's crazy. Like literally somebody went to Switch Yards last week and was listing off all the people that they saw there. Also, for anyone who doesn't know, Switch Yards is a new work from home co-working space in Birmingham. That's freaking cool. It's in Avondale. But anyways, that person that I know that was working there was listing off all the people that were working in there, and it was like the work from home coffee shop loyal, like the faithful, like the people that have been doing the June whammy, you know, Punch Love, East Pole,
Rotation.
Prevail, like circuit seeds.
See, when people work in whammy, there's a fine line of what pisses me off and what I'm like, that's sick. Like when people like sit down and do work, if I don't know, I do this, but if you're like headphoned up, like taking over a table for 4 for you, like all day, I'm just kind of like, why? First off, I love that you're enjoying our space, I guess, but like when Brandon Lauer works, I love it. He sits at the bar and he's like showing me what he's working on, and is like not headphoned and is like, can I play this over the speaker? Like. Yeah. I don't know. It's like if you're working in public, you're not like hiding. Like you are part of the public.
In public. Yeah.
So I don't know. That's just like work style preference. I guess some people can't like focus, which is totally fair. But I love when you're like, I like working in cafes for sure. Like once this like school year I have to write an essay, like I like doing it in a cafe. It's like it feels more productive.
What about other like restaurants, pubs, bars, things that we went to in Budapest?
Wait, I have one more question about this since we're here. We're kind of still on this tangent that I took a long time ago. But do you think that if you were at Whammy and you put like this table is only for 2 to 4 people, that would make people mad? Because I remember that was something whenever I lived in Raleigh, it was like much more busy and it was so hard to find a table for like a group at a coffee shop. And it made me so upset whenever people would take up a whole 4-top. With all their crap from like NC State, and I was just like, dude, like
it is a little frustrating because especially at Whammy, we have 10 tables for 1 person.
Yeah,
like 10 tables for 2 people, but it's like bench and chair on the other side.
Yeah,
so it's like you could take so many of those, but also those are full a lot. That's like true. There are full a lot, so it's just like with the post East Pole space, having like the 4 tables on the wall and then the big one. I'm like, also we have a whole bar that's 1-seaters for you to work. It's like if you're taking a table to work, like bro, let people come in there and hang.
Yeah,
that was loud.
Yeah, I think this kind of I think transitioning into the other things, because I think that this is kind of gonna go into the second part of what we wanted to talk about with like public spaces and how people just like use it as well. Dude, people just are hanging in Budapest. Yeah. That's one of the craziest parts about all the rest of them. And one of them where it's just like true. I was trying to explain what they call them ruin pubs, but like they're not, there's genuinely nothing like them that I've ever seen in the South. Like maybe in New York, there's like a spot called Public Records that I've been to that's like an old factory that is like I don't know, there's like a venue in it, a courtyard. It's a coffee shop. It's a vinyl space. There's a restaurant. Like there's like so many different things there. But that's the only place in America I've ever been to. But there it was like you walk in and I was trying to explain it to my parents and I was like, Yeah, we went to this place where you go to dance, but like it's like there's just a ton of people there. Like you don't have to get anything if you don't want to, but it's just like a bunch of things are happening. Yeah. But also just in general, like you go out 3 a.m. in Budapest. People are just outside.
People just hanging out, eating pizza on a bench.
Yeah.
Like that. Is that big city? Is that Budapest?
I don't remember. Like, I feel like in New York City, like people aren't hanging out. People are still out.
The city sleeps sometimes.
People are out in New York, but they're out at places or like in their cars going places.
Yeah.
Because there were some nights where we stayed out. Like that night I went to go get toilet paper, and it was like 1 a.m., and I walked out to some
store
to get toilet paper or whatever we ran
I didn't
out
know you did that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Was it pre or post poop, be honest?
I think it was post because we ran out, and I was like, well, I'm not going to leave you guys hanging in the middle of the night.
Bro's walking around pooping his doo-doo.
Walked around with some
Definitely was not that.
In his crack.
Anyway.
Right. So anyways, you walked around at 1 a.m.?
Walked around at 1 a.m. in New York City, and there was like no one out. But
in New York. I thought you were talking about in Budapest. Oh, okay. I see.
No, not in Budapest. No. But in Budapest, I would go run at midnight, and then there would just be guys like smoking cigs on the curb, just like hanging out.
Yeah, like I remember going out and taking one of the like people who needed to go to the bus stop and to catch a flight at like 3:30 a.m. I woke up. It was like a fever dream. Like walked out, and the bus stop that takes you to the airport was in this like big city square. It's 3:30 a.m. Probably like 200 different people just hanging out, eating, like you said, eating pizza, ripping cigs. People rip cigs.
So many cigarettes, man. It is insane. And they roll them themselves.
They do. And like 15-year-old girls. Like I'm not just literally. Like freaking factory working dudes or something. Like 15-year-old girls. Like everyone.
Cigs. Like we would walk around. There are a bunch of college campuses around Budapest, and so we walked through some of them.
Yeah.
And there would just be students out, like 18-year-old girls, 22-year-old guys, just like having cigarette breaks in between classes.
Yeah, when we went on campus, it was pretty weird. Like, I'm just imagining we sat on an equivalent to the main concourse at Stanford, Ben Brown. We sat on like an equivalent on one of these campuses, and like everyone's just ripping cigs. And I'm like trying to think about. It's not like just because I go to a Christian college, it's not that. Like, you don't go to Alabama and the like main quad is just cigs everywhere.
The quad at
night.
Ole Miss.
What's funny, people don't vape. Like, they have these little cigarette holders that you put it in and it just lights it for you. And then when you like suck in, it's like not gross and you can blow it. Like, it basically takes a cigarette and turns it into a vape. So I'm like, if you have a nicotine dependency, get a vape. I don't understand. It's very interesting to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It is the most.
What I'm trying to say is I'm pro vaping.
One of the things I realized walking around Homewood the other day, there were trash cans on every street corner in Budapest.
Dude,
yeah.
And it was super convenient because you would have your coffee cup or your gum you want to spit out or something, and like within eye shot anywhere you went, there was a trash can. And they weren't big. They weren't like, in the way. There was just one on the street corner in case you needed to throw something away.
This is just a European thing, not a Budapest thing, I think. But there is just a lack of freaking bathrooms. Yeah. And you have to pay.
Yeah.
Like that. I went to the train station with the guys from English camp. And they were like, here, you'll have to use this. It was like $25 for it to use the bathroom. It was like so. I don't understand. I don't understand why we don't do that in America. Now, I get why they do it there. You can charge for anything. Why do people not charge for the bathroom here? Like, when did we miss that culture? People charge for everything here.
It's funny, the way that I learned to time when I would go to the bathroom. It's like we just finished eating. I don't really have to go to the bathroom, but I know that it'll probably be 2.5 hours before I see a bathroom again.
Yeah.
So I just need to go.
Everything. Literally, this is something I noticed this time. Everything is smaller.
Yeah.
Literally everything. Sinks, toilets, cups.
Cars.
Portions of water, cars, sidewalks, signs, bus doors, car doors, main doors, human beings. It's
everything is smaller.
Everything is smaller. Food portions by far smaller. I will say it again. Portions of water that they give you.
It's insane. Because also some restaurants we got this more. I'm trying to think of the nice dinner we went to. No, it was the nice dinner this year. on Cabrera's birthday. Like,
shout out Sophie Cabrera.
like, we bought that Acuna Panana water. I don't know how you say it.
Yeah.
But we bought that water. Dude, also, we were in Nashville, I bought one of those, but it was a 33-ounce bottle, and it was $7.
Wow.
And I carried it around like a water bottle, and I got like 4 compliments.
On the water?
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, dude, that's sick."
The Saratoga water?
No, it wasn't Saratoga. It was the same as the one they had in Europe.
Agua
Yeah. Acuna Patana.
Acuna Patana.
And they were like, "I love that big bottle. That's dope." Like the guy that worked at Fast Times was like, "That's such a power move." And I was like, "It's just it's like carrying an Nalgene, but it's glass. It's kind of it looks kind of sick though. I'm not gonna lie." But yeah, I thought that was funny. But yeah, water's expensive. Water's expensive, and they give you tiny portions of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking about Maya. That cup is like 40 ounces, and they refill it like so fast. And it's like also all the water is warm.
Yeah.
Not often is there ice.
That's a European thing, which I like room temperature water, so I prefer that.
When you're done with a run, are you a room temp water guy?
If I drink cold, then it's too cold and gets my throat cold. Can't drink it very fast.
I love it running down my stomach.
Yeah, I'm usually
on the inside, not the outside.
I want it cool, but not like ice cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get that one at all. I'll be honest.
You like cold water?
Room temperature water is just like, room temperature, spit it out of my mouth.
It hydrates you faster.
I like room.
See, what you just said, there's no way that's true.
It's true. It's true because cold water is harder to. It's like your body doesn't accept it as easily.
Yeah, your body has to then like warm it up to then process it, basically.
What? I'm gonna need to. I wish we had like the freaking guy that
the producer
other podcasts have.
Jamie.
When did we stop getting a producer?
I don't know.
Really early. We did that for like 2 episodes.
Well, it's because everyone was like, "Oh, there's a podcast. I'm gonna come hang."
Yeah.
And then you kept doing it, and then no one wants to.
Yeah. Now it's just like you're recording another one.
Yeah. We started inviting people, and by like the 4th one, people are like, "You're still doing this?"
Yeah, I know. Everyone.
And this is what's gonna happen. And give it 2 years, people are gonna be like, "Oh, frick, dude, you're still doing that? Let's go. I gotta be a part." Like the
first couple episodes, we had like a live studio audience.
Yeah,
but then like after
it was
that,
like all our friends.
Really.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I thought it was kind of wild though. Like people just were hanging out all the time everywhere.
Dude, food, mid.
Really, you think there's mid?
I think the food is mid.
I also think this is maybe just like what have you been saying, Budapest, but not Birmingham. Explain that again.
Big
framework. It's like if it's there's like Budapest. There's Budapest versus Birmingham, but it's like just because it's in Budapest doesn't mean it's like Budapest. It might just be not Birmingham.
Okay, well, I think that in general, I think it's the opposite of what you're saying right now. I just think in most cities I go to, I'm pretty bummed about food. And I think that's because of how good food is in Birmingham.
Yeah.
I don't know if, like, I was actually thinking about this the other day. I don't know if I've ever been to a single mid-sized city besides Charleston. And even when I was in Charleston, I still was like, I don't know why everybody always talks about Charleston food. I don't know if I've ever been into a mid-sized city and with a sort of caveat of Charleston where I've ever been like satisfied or like impressed by food.
Yeah.
I feel like when people ask me, dude, food in Birmingham, I'm like, I can go 10 spots off the dome.
Yeah.
That will be good lunches and good dinners.
Yeah.
Like off the dome.
Like
maybe that's
like
just
stuff you'll be like talking about and wanting to go back and eat.
Yes. Like I could literally shoot
and they keep opening up. Dude, that's the crazy part of this whole thing. Like El Royale. Have y'all seen it yet?
Dude, a girl that I went to high school with went, and Jack was telling me that you have to go on Resi. You have to go reservation, and it's like booked till July or something.
Yeah.
And this girl I went to high school with, Shelby, if you're watching, shout out. She posted a picture of it. I was like, oh my gosh, how was it? She was like, it was amazing. Their Paloma was called the Paloma Anderson. And I was like, love that, because Pam from The Office.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I recommend going earlier in the day. She was like, you don't need a reservation. I just walked in, but it was like 2.
Yeah, I walked in the other day, and it was actually kind of funny. We like went in at probably 7:30, and I was like, let's just give it a shot, because I didn't like I knew everybody was talking about it, and then I was riding my bike around Birmingham, and I like passed by it, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is that? And I was like, oh wait, that's El Royale, because it's genuinely stunning. It is like Austin, Texas level cool.
Yeah.
And That was super cringe what I just said. Austin, Texas level cool.
Dude,
It's
Austin
like-
has so much cool stuff like the
Birmingham
Starbucks.
level cool.
It's like it's like just unbelievable. It's like $1 million.
It would be
bill.
cool
That's
anywhere.
what I'm saying. Yeah. And so I like pull in on my bike and I go up to the valet guys and I'm like, is this like reservation only now or is like what's the vibes? And he's like, I don't know, some people can get lucky. You should come back. So I came back that afternoon and I walked in and I was like, hey, we have 2 people. We don't have a reservation. Is there any way we get lucky? And they were like, we are booked for the rest of the evening, but you should come back and try tomorrow. And I looked at her and I said, I'm going to try every day for the rest of my life until I get in. And then she was like, no, actually do it. I was like, okay.
No, like, I'm being so dead for real.
I think she like was going with a bit. Like she was like, she was like living into her character. And I was like,
okay, good.
Yeah. Also I have no idea who he is. I'm assuming he worked there. He walked up and he said, dude, rocking the fit. You look good. I was like, thanks, man.
Dude, this guy at the show last night did that. He was like, dude, you turned around and like your hair, your stash, your fit, you look sick. And I was like,
you were like, do you want to kiss?
Thank you, bro. I was like, my name's Jacob. He was like, me too.
Are you serious?
Yes. And I was like,
was it Myres' friend from Mississippi?
It was me. It was me.
And I was like, wow, bro, that's sick. I love when guys are just like, man, you look cool. And I love doing that to guys too.
Yeah.
You look sick.
There was
bro.
a guy who did that to me in front of church one time, and then Cole Ragsdale watched the whole exchange.
Wow.
And he was like, yeah.
That's so funny.
Dude, that's one thing that I've noticed about
Rocking
you,
the
Jacob.
fit.
Dude, whenever one time we were sitting at Cane's in Tuscaloosa after an Alabama basketball game, and we were just waiting in line. It was such a nonchalant thing. I love the word nonchalant these days.
Come on.
It was such a nonchalant moment, and I just turn around and Jacob's just talking to some dude, like about nothing. You're like, it was like he had a band tee on, and he was like, "No way, you listen to them?" And he was like, "Oh, I don't think." He was like, "Oh no, like I don't."
And I was like, oh, sick. What's your major, bro? But I'm not like a get to know you. I'm just like, if I'm in a situation, I'm just gonna talk. Like,
You're just a chapper.
I just like
chatter.
I just like to chat. What's crazy about the word nonchalant is it has the prefix non, but the word chalant, not a word.
I was just thinking.
What?
About that.
No one says, like, the opposite of nonchalant is presumably chalant, but like when someone's being really obvious about something, you don't be like, you don't you don't say that guy's being so chalant.
Yeah.
No one says that. We could start doing that if we want
should.
to.
Thanks. So like nonchalant's chill. Chalant's like what would
Chalant would be like really in your face,
Overt.
really loud, really over the top.
You're being so chalant. Right
Yes,
now.
it's like when you're like,
I'm
seriously,
actually
bro,
gonna try
chill.
and-
You could
try
say you're being so
pull that
chalant.
into the vocab.
I love
But-
that.
It's the opposite of nonchalant.
Yeah. Okay, so why are we talking about El Royale? Well, we were talking about food in Birmingham.
Yeah, dang, we
Yeah,
got.
Royale
I
looks
don't
great.
think there really was like. I can think of meals that I enjoyed, but there's none that I'm like, dude, I have to like travel all the way back there just to eat that again.
I still think goulash is like genuinely so good.
Goulash
Yeah,
is
it's
good.
fantastic.
Taco is a good Los Val equivalent.
Taco
Very
is good. I honestly,
Taco fell apart, man. That frustrated me so much. I was just
Wait,
like
what?
literally shoveling it into my mouth.
Oh, I thought you meant actually. I didn't know you meant like actually. I thought you meant like in your brain.
No, I Taco is a taco place in Budapest.
TAKO. It's called Taco, not Taco Bar.
And one thing that I think is fascinating is when you're in Alabama, people from Texas are like, "There's no good Mexican food here," and I'm like, "Shut up! Yes, there is."
But if they're in Austin, they're freaking cool.
But like, whenever I was in Baltimore, they took me to like the best like Mexican restaurant there, and it was like not as good as it is in Alabama. It was still pretty good, but then like when you go to Europe, it's like another level. Like you're
Mexican.
like, well, I want queso. It's just like you get Velveeta mix and you put it, and they're like, okay, that's the most. Apparently to them, that's like an unfathomable concept to just put white Velveeta.
The European
blocks.
mind
which is
cannot
hilarious
comprehend.
because
Crock pot.
fondue is a thing.
Do you think that they have?
True.
That's a good point.
Do you think they have crock pots in Europe? They put pressure
They do.
cookers for sure.
I've been to a fondue place in Switzerland before, and it was really bad.
Flex.
It was really
Flex.
bad.
Dude, the melting pot used to be like.
Melting pot.
Do you not know
Wow.
that
Talk
spot?
about
Like
good
the spot
food
in
in
like
Birmingham.
freaking Rosemary Beach.
There's one in
There was
Rosemary.
one
There's
here.
one. There used to be one in Birmingham.
Yeah, there was one at like the Summit. I
Melting
think.
pot
I
was
didn't know that.
Melting pot was where we went if like me and John got all A's in like when we were in like
My
4th and
parents
7th
used
grade.
to go there in college.
I love that.
We would go to New York Pizza.
Oh,
Which, by the way, rest in peace.
Rip.
That was the best pizza I've ever had in my life.
was it Birmingham?
Yeah, it was in Edgewood.
Hummus bar.
Hummus bar.
Hummus bar was
chain
good.
in Budapest. Fire.
I really enjoyed Hummus bar. I had it 2 or 3 times.
It's kind of like kava.
It's like kava, yeah.
We also didn't really like foodie.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
We
When I was
coffeed
there.
hard. We didn't
We
foodie.
coffeed super hard, yeah.
We coffeed super hard.
The dinner we had that was like the Hungarian restaurant that we had over by the like Espresso Embassy area. That was good. Like that was good food. I was really happy with that. I got pork belly. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was like their nicest restaurant. Well, I don't want to say that because I don't know that. There's a Michelin star restaurant there that we didn't go to.
Wow.
Tuda found it whenever we were there. But
Tuda.
anyways, we went to this restaurant and it was probably on par with Soho Social. I'm not even joking right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good though. Like Soho Social's good. Nobody's saying Soho Social's bad.
I am. I hate Soho.
I should have gotten
not
something
on
more.
Cole Ragsdale's name. Don't say that.
I should have gotten something more specific to Hungary, but I just got like beef tip, like and mashed potatoes, something like.
Did you get gulasch a single time while you were there?
Once, I think.
Okay.
Did you get it last time you went?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. I didn't get it once this time.
We went to like a
Sad.
grimy pub and got goulash.
Grimy pub.
Yeah.
I've never heard grimy pub in like an American.
We went to grimy
pub. That feels so
we went
Australian.
to a grimy pub.
Dude, the pub we went to the first night with freaking
El Huddy.
shout out El Huddy.
El Huddy.
If you're listening,
Lauren
We got
Hudson.
invited to go to a 22nd birthday party with Sammy Boy,
Sam.
this Northern Irish lad. I hope Sam listens to this.
he does too. Dang.
I'm gonna say right now, Vincent, if you're still here with us, if you've made it 51 minutes, which, by the way, you are a podcast guy, and I listened to Auntie Donna because of this. We need to talk about that maybe later on.
Yeah.
At a point that might be happening later. But anyways, Vincent, if you're here still listening, tell Sam to listen. But anyways, we went to Sam's 22nd birthday. It was also, like Inter Milan and Barcelona were playing each other in a huge soccer game.
Yeah.
So the pub was packed. And it was so delightful.
It was awesome. It was so fun.
We had to chat with El Huddy. I also think it's hilarious that she was like, so we were there on like a mission trip with like, I know we haven't talked anything about the mission trip vibes at all. That's on purpose. But we were there on a mission trip with like a group of 20. So there was like a bunch of people. So we're only talking about like free time activities right now.
Yeah.
But
which is part of like, for example, why we didn't really foodie around.
Yeah.
Like,
That's true.
so
Meals were
often-
often purposeful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Now that I'm
like
thinking
in
about it.
between things, and we're with a group of like students.
if you want to hear more about the mission side of things, then show up to Redeemer's Church and we'll talk about it there.
Yeah. We'll get coffee with you.
But
Yeah.
here we are on word of mouth. So anyways, we went with like a group of like 20 people. There's like 15 girls on the trip. Lauren was there. Where was I going? Oh yeah, and Lauren was talking about the trip to Cole. That's what it was.
Raxel or Edens?
Edens. Because Lauren is interning at the church that Cole
For
works at.
Cole.
Yeah, for Cole, kind of, not really. And anyway, so Lauren was telling, and she was like, I don't know, everybody like kind of split up into their own like cliques or like their own like little friend groups on the trip. And then she was like, oh wait, or Cole was like, oh no way, like which one did you like go into? And she was like I don't know, like Jacob, Myres, and Steven.
That's so funny. That was kind of the
Lauren
freaking
viewed the
squad.
trip. It was like our. Which I was like, I don't know if I would ever. I'm like stoked that Lauren felt that way.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would ever quantify the trip in that way or like explain the trip.
I also it like for that to be a thought in her head, it took that one pub hang.
Yeah, literally.
Because like we're at dinner
It
and
was
we're
like
like
one of the first nights we were there.
Yeah,
everybody
like-
else wanted to go to karaoke or get like dessert or something.
There's
And we were
20
like, dude, freaking
this
22-year-old
game is
birthday
soccer
party,
game.
we have to go.
Yeah,
Big
it's like
soccer game.
I invited everyone, and
Yeah.
that's we're the only people who wanted to go, and it ended up being like one of my favorite nights of the whole trip.
It was
Yeah,
super
it was
fun.
kind of awesome. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, it was super fun. I'm trying to remember. Okay, because we were talking about food. Yeah, the food wasn't super remarkable. Oh, Dorado's pancakes were absolutely
yeah.
unbelievable.
Frick. They put
their
egg and
French
the egg
toast.
and bacon on top of it.
I didn't see a single bagel place while I was there. That was a super different because it's
True.
like similar to Brooklyn, like the Budapest vibe. It's not similar to New York, but it is similar to Brooklyn because it's like kind of dirty. There's a bunch of graffiti. But the main area is like super clean, but like a lot of the other parts of the city are not. And but it was super weird not seeing like pastrami sub shops and like bagel shops everywhere.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. But yeah, the food, I'm trying to remember, like, well, we ordered like pizza. The Pizza Manufactura is a place there. Also, something we haven't talked about at all yet is like the language is just so freaking different.
Yeah. Wait, one more food thing. People that live there would if any of you that live there, part of Denibuni that are listening to this, you're probably going to be like big ol' eye roll, especially if you live there for more than 2 years. You're going to be like, oh my gosh. But like a consistent, good pizza me.
Yeah.
That's a good place.
Yeah.
Like it's like Sbarro. Best equivalent I can think of is Sbarro. And like getting pizza me and sitting on the bridge, one of my favorite meals.
You can literally get a big slice of pepperoni pizza and lemonade for I think $1.75. Yeah. We haven't talked about that at all either. Everything is not everything, but mostly everything is like way cheaper than it is in America, which makes it awesome. Like the fact that you can literally go and get, I think it was $1 the slice of pizza. Maybe it was more than that.
Yeah, it was cheap.
Yeah.
The cappuccino's $3.50.
Yeah.
Like one thing I thought about with the cappuccinos and the coffees particularly though is because it's a single shot, I think it actually was like similarly priced.
Yeah.
Because it was just less coffee.
Dang, this is making me want a coffee right now.
Yeah.
Talking about all this coffee.
Coffee. Yeah. So
wait, what were we talking about? Oh, the language is literally insane. It sounds like Portuguese and
Chinese, like Mandarin.
The one good comparison I liked was when they were talking about the different ways that police are pronounced in different languages.
Yeah,
because it's all kind of like iterative of the same, like
police, police,
like all that. And then in Hungarian, it's Randorseg.
Randorseg,
like not the same.
You
at
sounded
all.
like the kids from English camp. That was good.
Thanks,
that was fire.
Bochi. That means excuse me or sorry.
Randorseg.
Hajvaj is. How's it going? Or like, how are you?
Hajivaji.
Hujan
Kamudani.
Yeah.
Yep.
The language is odd. It was very different than
our friend that has lived there for 6 years doesn't speak it.
Yeah.
And she knows how to speak Russian, which is like kind of similar.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's freaking crazy. But it is nuts though. It was wild whenever we flew to Amsterdam.
I'm gonna go to the restroom.
Okay, but
all right.
Whenever we flew into Amsterdam on our way home, I was like, Dutch sounds, in comparison to Hungarian, Dutch sounded exactly like English. Like I was like, it just felt kind of like you were overhearing a conversation, but if you paid attention, then you could have like understood what they were saying. But since you weren't paying attention, like that was like kind of the vibe I got. And then I Googled like how similar is Dutch to English, and apparently it sounds the most similar out of any other language on earth, which was kind of wild. I felt like a linguistic wizard whenever I made that kind of just like
a
observation.
Calm studying person.
Yeah. I felt like I was like an ancient artifacts PhD student whenever I was, studying language at that immense level like that. But yeah, I thought it was like overall a pretty unbelievably fun trip, and I really, really enjoyed going. I thought it was awesome. It's a
beautiful city.
I think
the architecture there is gorgeous.
I am pretty convinced that if you're in a rut, or if you're like in a little bit of like I guess rut's a good word. If you're in like kind of a hard spot, you don't have to go to Europe either. You can go to like a rural town, or you could go to a city 2 hours away and just observe how other people live and just get so much perspective. And I definitely think that the more different the culture, the more perspective it gives you on your life. And it just like it's so, you just get to see people do so many different things differently. I feel like it's helpful. Breathes life into different things. So anyways, guys, we are going to finish today with a little fun. Oh, nope. We'll say this is today's segment sound. We're going to do a little bit of a game show of
what is
Rapid
this?
Fire Birmingham versus Budapest. Welcome to today's game. Guys, I am going to list off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things. And you are going to cast your vote. Short, brief vote of Birmingham versus Budapest. What would you rather take if you had to choose? First, public transit. What would you take? Budapest. Everybody say it on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Budapest.
It's actually absurd. It's the size of Nashville, and it has a public transit system probably as nice as New York City.
It is so good.
Honestly, maybe nicer.
Like I can't express how good it is. Like
yeah.
There's trams and buses above ground, and then there's a metro below ground. It's really easy to understand how it works.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Fantastic.
I think that I could get around Budapest faster than like if I got dropped in like a really big house trying to navigate from room to room.
That's a crazy way to quantify it, but yeah, it's kind of nuts though.
That's how I feel.
If you were to consider, like in Birmingham, if there was just like a little tram that ran alongside, like I don't know what you would call it, but like
railroad park,
like 31. If there was one that was just like from freaking I don't know, like down by the Target, and it just took you over to where June is or BJCC,
yeah,
and then you could get off there and go like a few stops over to Railroad Park.
I've never tried Birmingham Public. I've never even given it the effort, but it's got to be horrible, right?
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's absolutely terrible. Apparently, it takes 4 hours to get from here to Mountain Brook.
What?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
What in the world?
It would be quicker to walk.
We should record a podcast on a bus in Birmingham.
That's actually kind of sick. I
That's
wonder if we could get the city to like sponsor us for that.
I'll talk to Mayor Woodfin.
I'll talk.
But going east and west is really easy in Birmingham, though. Like you could get from here to Legion Field, where we oftentimes need to go, pretty quickly.
I go there.
Are you talking about for the Magic City Flow Fest?
Yeah.
With headliners Kevin Gates
we
and
could go to
Sexy
Gardendale
Red?
High School football as spring game. It's the only time
Can
I've
you
ever
take a
been to
bus
Legion
out there?
Actually, I take that.
No,
I went
it's
to
at Legion Field.
I went to a U.S. women's national team soccer game there.
That's pretty
which
sick.
I could only imagine. Like when I was in high school, and I was like, "This is sick." It's at the old Alabama stadium, but I imagine like women's soccer players are like the most like prima donna people ever, and I'm like, could you imagine being like Abby Wambach in like 2015 after winning the World Cup? And you're
Playing
at a
Legion
game,
Field.
you get off the bus, and you're at that stadium. I'll be like, what are we doing here? And then they went in the stadium and absolutely destroyed South Africa or something like that. Or could you imagine being a South African?
And being like,
getting off the bus and being like, this stadium literally might fall over.
yeah, Cape Town is like the most beautiful city in
Literally
the world.
gorgeous.
Like there was like part of the stadium you couldn't sit in because they were afraid it literally would fall. It would like destroy itself. But they sold out the rest of the stadium. It was insane.
But it was sad.
Yeah, that was before we had the big old stadium in downtown. But yeah, I think public transit there is absolutely
Fantastic.
Yeah. It would if we had public transit like that here, people would use it literally all the time.
I like having a car. I'll say it.
I do like having a car.
I think if I lived there, I would want a car, but then I'd be like, this is stupid.
If I lived there, I would probably have like a smart car or something.
Yeah.
A BMW i3.
Yeah.
I think that I would definitely still have a car if I lived in Birmingham because you got to get to Gardendale somehow. But how else am I going to see my family? But
yeah,
if there was like public transit,
dude. But like the way their transit is equivalent, I think a bus would run to Gardendale.
Yeah,
it would. It would just take probably forever to get
Yeah.
out there, and then a car would just be like so easy.
Yeah, because you can just floor it.
All right, next one. Nightlife: Birmingham versus Budapest. What would you take?
Birmingham.
I don't know. I've been a consumer of nightlife for approximately a month.
I think I'm gonna go Birmingham too, just because it's a little bit more sleepy, and I prefer that.
Have you? But this is the thing.
I don't really want people offering me cocaine when I go.
That's
to a
true.
bar.
We got offered
a lot of cocaine.
Also, Brady had to literally like scare off a dude who was trying to talk to Mihaela.
Shout out Brady.
Shout out Brady.
Shout out.
Wog.
That doesn't. I've never experienced that in Birmingham.
My bit here is the nightlife we experienced was the most touristy part of the city at the most touristy pub in the whole city.
Yeah.
Like that bar we went to.
So what kind of nightlife would you want to experience? The kind of nightlife that we just have in Birmingham?
What I'm saying is, I think that they have what we have in Birmingham. It's just on Buddha side. But they also have if you want the crazy, you can get it.
Yeah. That's actually
I prefer the simple, But I think the place we went with him, like at night, was probably a great vibe.
Yeah, Anthony helped so there was this artist we met, Anthony Vasquez. He's amazing.
Goat.
He was helping us understand that there's this word that they have that basically means like a knife fight bar. And there are like those kind of bars where people go literally to like have fights.
Yeah, they don't have guns there, so like there's like districts that are called like knifey. That's like an adjective they use because it's like, or stabby. That's what it is.
Stabby. Yeah.
Yeah, because people bring weapons.
And so there are like crazy places that you can go to, and then there are like
they had a fake gun store there.
I
thought that was
What?
crazy.
See that?
I didn't
It was
see
like
that.
you're not allowed to buy guns, but it was like fake pistols. Like you could go into a store and buy a fake pistol. I don't know if it like shot anything, like maybe like it shot at water or like a Nerf bullet or something.
What do you guys think about them like not having guns?
That's crazy. That's a crazy thing to say.
Kidding. We're not.
Me and Steven have differing opinions, so 50-50.
Let's talk about it right now. I think I prefer Birmingham. Like that is my answer.
Yeah.
But I think that that also exists there. There's just more options.
Yeah, I think you're right that we just didn't go to the places.
Yeah.
Like we did try to go to Dorado at night that turns into like a wine bar. And then they were like,
they turned us away.
Yeah. That's another
Fair. We had a group of 11.
Any restaurant or bar we went to, if we had a large group, large being more than like 4 people, they typically tried to turn us away. It was hard for us to find a place for like 10 people to go to.
Yeah, there was usually like one table for 6 people in the whole place or something. But there was anything bigger than 6.
Maybe that's why people hang out outside so much. Now that
it was hilarious that we went. Whenever we walked up to Dorado that night, we were just gonna hang. They were like, yeah, we don't really like big groups. And you were like, how many? And they were like, how much is too big? And they were like 9. And we literally had 9 people.
Well, yeah, they were like 10, and I was like counted, and we have 10.
Oh, that's what
I didn't want to go back and be like, your number is actually the number that we have, so I'm believing we are allowed in your establishment. I just like.
I feel like that's a major like. I don't know. I feel like they're also being Karen when they do that too, but like it's also like super millennial to like make fun of or like get upset in those situations.
Well, yeah, and it's also they started with "we're closed," and I knew they closed in an hour, so it's like they're not like they just don't want us to come in there because we're loud 10 Americans. Like I understand it. I wish.
It was the first time in my life I've ever experienced prejudice.
Same. Except for maybe like.
No, Jenny was like, bro, seriously, bro, seriously, bro, chill.
All right.
Anyways,
third one. I'm gonna do it.
Food prices.
Food prices.
1, 2, 3. Budapest.
Yeah.
Everything was cheaper.
It seemed pretty similar though.
A lot of places were.
It wasn't as cheap as people said it was going to be.
Yeah. Right. Apparently, inflation has hit it pretty hard.
I was gonna say it was like $1 or $2 cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what I would get at Cava that's $14, I would get at Hummus Bar that was $11.
A Lyon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually probably pretty true.
It was cheaper though.
As soon as especially if you went to like cool or like if you went to like places that were bad, like if you went to McDonald's, it was way cheaper. McDonald's is so cheap there.
If you went to that place in the suburbs that we went to with Anthony, that place was really cheap. And that was just like a normal suburban restaurant that's completely forgettable.
Dude, and what we didn't experience because we're tourists, rent is so cheap.
Yeah.
Really?
Vinny, not to expose his rent prices, but Vinny was like, I pay $300, and that's like a frick ton.
What?
Yeah. Because he was like, no one makes any money here. He was like, that's so crazy. Our rent is so cheap. He was like, he lives in the like,
he lives in the
post-Soviet
Siberian
block. And he was like, I pay $300 a month, and I'm like on that more expensive end. People would be like, no way, you pay $300. I was like,
what do people usually pay?
I don't know. I was just like, that's mind blowing to me.
It's crazy.
I pay $6, and people are like, wow. That is so good.
Yeah, I pay $1,000 for my 1 bedroom, and people are also like, "Wow, that's so good."
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I pay like $10,000. How are y'all getting those deals?
Right.
Joking.
Food prices.
Food prices. Bang. All right. Friendliness.
Birmingham.
Everyone was so mean, dude.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. Like, I think the way that I kind of understood it was. They like really like it was super interesting how much they preferred the way that they did it.
Yeah.
Even though I was like, like we weren't very like open about how much we preferred our way of doing it, if that makes any sense. Even though I think all of us definitely agreed, like we would much rather have the way people treat people in the American South than the way that they treat it.
Yeah.
But they were like, "Oh yeah, you don't like the way we do it? We freaking love the way we do it. It's more honest. It's like not fake."
Yeah, they're very
and it's
direct.
like, why are you so like?
Why do you think I'm?
Why are you so
faking it?
accusative that we're faking it?
Yeah.
Like, what if we actually are
Happy?
like?
They
Just
were very
kind?
direct and they were very cold.
Yeah, cold's a great.
It's
word.
really funny. It's like it's not like the way we do it and the way they do it. It's like it being like friendliness, kindness, hospitality, like that idea. It's not like they do it differently. We just do.
Yeah.
And they just
Yeah,
don't.
fair.
Like I don't even feel like it's that.
Which is part of why, like, when you go to 4 Minutes and they're hospitable, it's like, whoa.
Whoa, yeah,
What's
for
going
sure.
It's
on?
like
For sure.
so awesome.
Like even like they're a tourist city. Like there's people that work in the like where you buy the tickets to go into the freaking St. Stephen's.
Yeah.
And even those people who are supposed to be like, welcome to our city, aren't like kind.
Yeah.
Like it's just like ingrained in their culture.
Yeah.
Also understanding more of why from Anthony, I think is like gives good context. Like
yeah, they've been like a people ruled by like a tyrannical government
like
for
four
like,
different times.
yeah, like hundreds if not thousands of years. So people are just very like quiet and to themselves because historically, like these people's grandparents were like at risk of being arrested by the secret police because what if they found out that they had smuggled like Oreos into
I think it's
Hungary.
so fascinating, like that, like they know that that's why they are the way that they are. Like I'm curious what their tradition tells them the way that Hungarians were like way back in the day before that all that happened, because I don't think that they were naturally like I don't think anyone's like naturally a cold, non-trusting kind of like pessimistic person.
Yeah,
and
I
I'm
think
curious,
that's
like
probably taught.
if they know that that's the why that they are the way that they are is because they're they were run or they were like tyrannically run by like evil people groups, or not evil, but or I guess evil would be the right word. I don't know. Really dark, bad history. Wouldn't you like want to rebel against that? That was the question that I wanted to ask them, but I never did. Was like, if y'all are this way because of your past, wouldn't you want to be trying to like rewrite the future right now or something like that?
Do you think
I would
that-
love to talk to them about that next year whenever I go.
Do you guys think that the maybe not actually, but in like culture, their like friendships are more meaningful, or more like serious, or like whatever, because the wall is so high.
Yeah.
So once the wall is broken, it's like, I don't know, like I just had a stroke. My experience in college, which I would say similar to a lot of like male college experiences, is like I found really, really good friends in 1 week. Like one week of being in school. And this isn't everyone's experience, but mine is like I've stayed friends with those guys for the last 3 years, and we just like met and became friends and super fast. Yeah. My wall was very low at that time. And as I get older, my wall is a little higher because there's not really a need to have it so low. But even still, compared to like someone who's from Hungary, my wall is very low to just like talk to someone. And
why did you want to make friends whenever you got to Sanford, you think?
I mean, just human desire for connection.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that sounds like some question they would ask. They'd be like, why did you need more people for that? Like, why is your family not enough or something like that?
It is super interesting. I do have some respect for the high wall in some ways, just because like I do think it would make your friendships really meaningful. And something I get pretty not fed up with, but annoyed by is like connection and like agreeableness for the sake of connection and agreeableness. Yeah. Like in young adult people here, it's just like people like I might like freaking Tame Impala, and someone I meet likes Tame Impala too. Yeah. But we have like no reason to conversate about that. But that's like kind of a like negative way to view things. Sure. That's kind of the
I think
Hungarian
it's so
view.
interesting too how people in Birmingham love talking about mutual connections. Yeah. Talk about mutual connections.
Oh, dude, you went to freaking Buh. I know Buh. Who went to Buh.
Like, literally, whenever I was talking to the people I was talking about earlier, my high school friends' moms at my mom's retirement party yesterday, we were just like, we've realized that Marquis Bittner, Matthew Measures' friend from JH Outback. Marquis rooms with Hayes, who is Miss Shelby's son.
Wow.
And we were like, no way, that's crazy. And we like talked about it. And whenever I say Birmingham, people like talking about mutual connections. I'm talking about me too.
Yeah,
like,
I do that.
I was like,
do that too.
I was like, no way. We like talked about that for a while.
Yeah.
About how insane it was. And I was like, that's kind of insane that I like cared to talk about that.
And it's like the more that happens, the more I'm like, is it that crazy? Or is it we just live in a southern community? Like, I don't know. It's funny.
Are we just similar to everyone we talk to because it's not a big place and similar people do similar things?
Like what? Like how long would it take to find a mutual connection with Vincent?
Probably a while.
Like brand? Like we can be like Rhythm, Gold Coast.
Right.
Bang. But like people. It's like.
Yeah, we'd probably have to live in Australia. If we lived in that area that he's from, we'd probably have to live there for 2 years before we were like met.
Right. Oh, you know Vincent? Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, that's kind of crazy. All right, friendliness. All right, so we have transit, Budapest, nightlife, Birmingham, food prices, Budapest, friendliness, Birmingham. Now, coffee. You're about to make some enemies if you say Budapest.
It's not Budapest. My answer is Birmingham. I wish that we had.
Okay, so think about it. Right now, every coffee shop that's here isn't here anymore, but we have Dorado, Espresso Embassy, 4 minutes. Like exactly the way that they are, just here.
I'm still picking Birmingham. I think it's not about Budapest coffee. It's about 4 minutes Dorado and Espresso Embassy.
Yeah,
I don't think that I can consider that Budapest coffee.
That's
like it is,
fair.
But it's not like, oh my gosh, the scene here. I wish we had the scene here in Birmingham.
Sure.
It's just like there's shops. I think
it's impossible for me not to pick Birmingham. I think Birmingham's like so awesome. Even though like the coffee isn't like they're not going to go win freaking Brewers Cup.
Yeah.
And nobody here will, but like it's still freaking amazing and awesome.
Yeah.
It's so honest.
Birmingham. We have no words from Mr. Allen.
He's gonna say Budapest.
I think I also have to pick Birmingham, but
what do you want to pick?
I really just want to pick Espresso Embassy specifically.
Yeah. You loved that place.
Everything I had there was so, like the pour over that I had from Kenya was like one of the best pour overs I've ever had.
You went to Kenya?
Yes. The espresso tonic there.
Oh,
like I think that. I mean, it's either that or the espresso tonic at 4 minutes where, like, one of those was my favorite drink I had there.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm excited for one of our wrap-up prompts. Things that Birmingham could implement.
Yeah.
Anyways, continue.
All right.
Final.
Last one is just food in general. And
sure,
we all say it on
Birmingham.
3. 1, 2, 3.
Birmingham, dude. Birmingham by a freaking mile.
Is there any restaurant that you wish was here?
I would eat taco, dude. It was good.
Yeah.
I would eat that here. The freaking dessert taco.
Oh, there was a dessert taco?
Yeah, Myres got it. It was busting.
What? What was it?
It was like a hard.
It was like a tostada shell, like a crunchy shell, and then they served it. I got it to go, so I had to build it myself. I don't know if they would build it otherwise, but it had whipped cream and like apple, like a cinnamon apple sauce thing, and caramel sauce.
It was
and you just like dump it all on there.
When we have, are we having Jose on or Chewy on or both?
Jose.
Whenever we have Jose on, we have to plug that idea for Salute.
Breakfast taco.
Dessert taco.
Dessert taco.
That's going to be
Salute breakfast? That's something else you should plug.
That would be
Salute, also, they have breakfast now on Saturday, Sunday.
I didn't know that.
Is it Deli Ole or is it?
No, Deli Ole has this isn't going to come out. Dang. Deli Ole has a pop-up on Sunday. We're not going to be on Sunday. Dang it. Never mind.
Dang it.
I've literally missed the 2 since we interviewed him.
Yeah, so we have transit.
Budapest.
Nightlife, Birmingham. Food prices, Budapest. Friendliness, Birmingham. Coffee, it was a little bit of a hard decision, but we said Birmingham.
Yeah.
Food, Birmingham. So essentially what we're saying is, if Birmingham had Budapest public transit, a little bit of their coffee,
and a little bit of their nightlife,
it would be a perfect city.
And a little bit of their food prices, cheaper food.
Cheaper food. Yeah. That would be elite.
But food price being lower versus good food, I'm picking good food every 100%. Every time.
I'll cook for myself to save money.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much just in general, all around great trip, all around great city. Yeah. So
Steven broke his ribs.
I got in a big old scooter wreck. That was freaking crazy. I was slaloming, if you know what that is, on a scooter down a hill. and like a skier, and up came. Actually, let's call him out for it. Jacob saw a biker.
Okay.
A cyclist.
Oh my God! I did not.
Cannot blame
You
either of
cannot
us.
blame me.
I'm not blaming you at all, Myres. I'm blaming Jacob because he was in front of me.
Okay, I'm not calling out cyclists because he's like coming up like this, and I'm clearly seeing him like a freaking mile away, and I wasn't like back and forth slaloming because I bet it was fun. I'm sure it was fun until it wasn't.
Anyway, so Jacob passed the cyclist. Didn't tell me he saw the cyclist.
Genuinely, I was on FaceTime with Katie.
That's actually insane. That is so unbelievably applicable to this season of life in Jacob and I's friendship. But anyways, I come to around Jacob on the slalom, and there is a 20-year-old Hungarian gentleman on this bicycle. I don't know if he was going fast or not. I can't really.
He was going up a hill. He was not going fast.
Well, I was going pretty fast. And I was completely convinced I was going to be able to dodge him. And it was kind of one of those weird, like, am I going to go right and you go right? Or am I going to go left and you go left? Like,
I told that story to Hannah, and she was like, always go right. Has he never driven a boat? And I was like, Hannah, we are in Hungary.
Has he never driven a boat?
We were literally in Hungary. And she was like, they'll just go to each other's rights. And I was like,
do you think that the man in Hungary has ever driven a boat?
That's what I said. I was like, maybe Steven's driven a boat. But I was like, really? You're really going to be like, he should have known that when you drive a boat.
It looked like Steven was playing chicken.
Your privilege is
with
showing.
A stranger.
It was so unbelievably
and he
horrible.
Smacked him.
I can't even put into words how stupid I felt.
Hey, dude, the worst part, the woman.
Oh yeah, right after it happened. So I fell, and at first I was like, I didn't realize how bad it was. So I just got up really quick to go over and be like, hey dude, are you okay? I'm so sorry. And then I got super nauseous, almost threw up, and then the black started coming in on my eyes, so I was like, oh frick. So I thought I was about to pass out. So I went over and laid down on the ground. And I was just like, oh. And then as I was like, oh, this like Hungarian woman who spoke no English, this like old, like big Hungarian woman, like think like.
She seemed really kind.
She was really nice.
And I guess she was like, saw it or something. She was like.
She appeared from like the building that people live in.
Well, and she went to the guy first, and he accepted.
Oh.
And then
she had peppermint essential oils, and she like opened up my mouth to pour it into my mouth, and I was just like, please no, like I'm so sorry, like please like stop, because I was just like so overstimulated and overwhelmed, as you can imagine. I was like, this is a stranger woman who's not speaking English, trying to pour something in my mouth, and I just like got into a scooter wreck. And anyways, it was terrible. So then after like 10 minutes, I felt better, a little bit better. I mean, I still don't feel good. But I walked over to the guy, and I was just like, hey, dude, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. And he was like, did you not see me? And I was like, yeah, I mean, like, I didn't see you first, but I saw you. And then I was like, I didn't know. And I was like, again, like, I'm so sorry. Like, I was an idiot. I should have, like, it was my fault. I'm sorry. And he's just like, all right, dude, like, it's all good. And then he like, fist bumped. And I was like, oh, thank God. I thought he was going to get so mad. I mean, he probably was so mad. You know what I was thinking about? I'm sitting here. My rib and shoulder and my back still hurt, like, every day.
I wonder what he's up to.
And I was like, there's a guy in Hungary right now who's like, that freaking moron.
You guys are kind of connected.
Yeah, he's thinking about me every day.
He's got scabs
there's a guy.
on his forearms.
He literally he still probably has scabs on his arms. Like,
he probably legit, like, I mean, he was smaller than me. He probably broke something.
Yeah. Well, he was like moving his wrist. Reed did the once over and said he was fine. So I was like, Reed, I love that.
Well, anyways, that was a terrible experience, and that happened there. But yeah, guys, I think to wrap us up, what do y'all think? If y'all could take one thing from Europe, from Budapest, and we could implement in Birmingham, what do you think it would be?
Sprotoni at every shop.
Yeah, I think that's actually pretty good.
That is my answer 1,000%. Espresso tonic at every shop is the money.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good answer.
Even the like lame ones had espresso tonic.
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah, I think that
This is is falling apart.
Music doesn't work on the soundboard anymore. Y'all can keep talking.
I think I was going to say something about the honesty of the people. I think there is an element of like, if people ask you how you're doing, it's okay to not just say, good, how are you?
Yeah.
Because when you ask people how they're doing, they're just very blunt and direct and honest. And I think there is something to that is admirable.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that in every culture that you go to, there's always something that you can find that you can bring back home with you.
Thanks, Stephen.
What's your answer? Maybe it's the friends we made along the way answer.
Maybe what we can implement is the friends we made along the way. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think in general, public transit, like, legit is the one thing that I'm like,
we can't implement that.
We're like,
Birmingham.
Birmingham, why don't you just make like a little tram that we can take over instead of having to use gas money and save everybody, like, pollution, save everybody money, save everybody time. Everybody would use it. And they're just like, absolutely not. And you're like, okay, why? And they're just like,
have you seen the new Jazz Hall of Fame?
They're like, we just made a state park in Sylacauga. It's like, cool. But also, I mean, we can't even keep up the roads we have. Sorry,
there's a lot of other priorities.
Stupid old American guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that in general, it just like is so amazing to me how there's like just city squares. I think that's my actual answer.
Yeah.
I think it's so cool how you can go to a place and I mean there's just 1,000 people, 2,000 people just hanging out, different little coffee shops, bars, cafes, having dinner, dancing, just like chilling, ripping cigs.
Being human.
That's definitely what we should bring back is ripping cigs.
And I do think that there are places in Birmingham, and I just need it to have a more keen eye for which ones they are. So Railroad Park does that, just in different ways. Like I was on the way to Whammy, it was 8:30 a.m. yesterday. I drove by. There was a Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama was putting on a dance exercise class in the middle of Railroad Park. Super loud, hip hop R&B, and there was legit 50 people out there, like
8:30 a.m.
Yeah, right across from Red Cat. But for me, I just need to get over I'm not going Red Cat. Like I need to get over those these stupid hills that I put between me and happiness.
Well, dude, like Birmingham, we had it's like live music in the park. I saw the poster, and I was like, oh, interesting. Literally, the Alabama Symphony Orchestra performed for like 2,000 people in Railroad Park. Did you see the videos of that? Dude, it was beautiful. It looked so sick. And I was like, Birmingham does some cool stuff.
Hey, well, there was many times when we were in Budapest that we missed Birmingham.
True.
And now there's many times we're in Birmingham where we miss Budapest.
Only know the light when it's burning low. Only miss the sun when it starts to snow. Only know you love her when you let her go.
That's so unbelievably true. Thanks for listening today, guys. We love you so much. I love you.
I love you.
I love you.
I think I love you.
Say it back.
I'm mistaking love for connection and lust.
That was a crazy thing to say.
Would it be crazy if I kissed you right now?
Listener, would it be... Am I crazy for thinking...
Dude, I'll be so honest with you.
What are you doing right now?
I will say if we did the game show round... Actually, sorry. The guys, thanks for listening. We'll see y'all next week. Love you so much.
Love
Cheerio
you.
Then.
Bye. Every time.
Is it not on here anymore? It's not on here anymore.
Actually...
Welcome to the secret segment. You get to listen to secret things.
That was the worst. We into a WOM episode.
When did that get on there?
Wait. What the?
We are on the secret segment.
We did that with Ethan and Luke, that noise.
I know, but when did the secret segment?
I have no idea.
Anyways, guys, Oh, frick.
Secret segment.
Oh, yeah. This is what I was going to say. So we're back at the secret segment. And on this week's secret segment, I want to say that if we did. Let's actually. Jacob just went to Nashville. We're going to do this again. Welcome to this week's game show of Birmingham Rapid Fire. Birmingham versus Nashville.
Nash Vegas, baby.
All right. Y'all ready for this?
Turn the music off. People are going to hate it.
Public transit, 1, 2, 3. Birmingham. Nightlife, 1, 2, 3.
Birmingham. Broadway is literally the worst thing ever. Birmingham.
Friendliness, 1, 2, 3. Birmingham. Coffee, 1, 2, 3. Birmingham. Food, 1, 2, 3.
Birmingham. Nashville. Broadway is freaking weird, okay? I dropped my ring on the ground at a bar on Broadway, and I was looking on the ground trying to find it because I just bought it that day, and a woman said, "Stop doing that, stop!" And I was like, "I'm looking for my ring," and she was like, "No, you're not." And I found it, held it in her face, and said, "I found it," and she said, "I thought you were a pervert." I hate Nashville.